clips of this, 1 minute clips of that, whatever good book you want to read. It's just a way to actually structure your mind through 1 minute clips because comprehension is difficult. There's so much information. The glossary is extensive and it's all interconnected. So I'm just saying that like I've created a way to, because there's times when I'm reading a 1 minute clip where I'm not even thinking about what I'm reading. I'm thinking about something else. I have no idea what I just read, but I read it perfectly. So then I can go back and listen to that 1 minute clip and say, oh, wow, holy shit. You know, it's just a way of compressing or creating a cliff note. But it works for music too. So, you know, I could go into my music room and do 1 minute clips, but honestly, it's better to just read the books because you are the musical instrument and it's just high value information. I'm telling you, this app is the abyss of hell. It truly is the abyss of hell. I can play a room for you right now and you'll say, "Holy shit, this is a total waste of time." Not even sort of a waste of time. It is 100% a complete waste of my time. I get nothing from it. It just sucks the spirit and soul out of my existence
Is
to
it the
listen to these people.
politically correct room?
That one or chillism.
Chillism. The politically correct. I don't know which is worse. Oh, the Truth Seekers Tavern.
Yeah.
That's a bad one.
Some people say they like that one, but I think that the guy who runs it is slow as hell.
The House of the Queens and King Shuki.
It's the Jewish room. Unless there's another Jewish room, but...
The Voice and the Parliament of Allah Halakma.
I roasted chillism so hard yesterday. They kicked every single account I have. I have 6 Clown House accounts. They spent the time to kick every single one of them out, and I roasted the shit out of them in the chat.
It's frightening how stupid people are. I almost made a little TikTok video at work today because I was bothered. Can I tell it to you? Yeah, I know. Sometimes I hear you when you say that Clubhouse is used to complain. So I don't want to use you to take my complaint, but can I tell you just a little anecdote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you ever work in a restaurant?
Yeah, I was a server.
Yeah, okay. So like the dry storage room. Sometimes, like I feel like working in in the restaurant, it teaches you how to be observant.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes they'll say, "Hey, John, can you go get some more Diet Coke and dry storage?" You go to the dry storage room, you're like, "I don't know where the fucking Diet Coke is."
Mm-hmm.
And then you like take a minute. You're like, "All right, let's look around. Let's find it. It's here. It is. I found it." Right? And so there's these like stacks of soda, 12 packs of soda, and there's 3 on a shelf. If you stack them the right way, it fits 3 easily. If you stack them the wrong way, it fits 3 barely, and you have to shove in the last third one, and taking it out, you gotta like drag it out. It's like scraping on the shelf. And I noticed that there's like all these stacks of soda that are stacked appropriately, and then one has been stacked where somebody accidentally put it on the wrong way, and they shoved the last one. Like, it takes effort to shove it in the wrong way. It's like you can fit a square peg through a round hole if you fucking jam it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to stand there and point it out, be like, what kind of moron stocked this soda? What kind of idiot doesn't have the... And that's what IQ is. IQ is pattern recognition. Can you recognize a pattern and see that if I put it in this way, it fucking goes in, but if I put it that way... Anyway, I didn't make that video because I figured it was a waste of time and I was making myself angry for no reason. But when it's relevant to our discussion, I can tell you this little anecdote and tell you, like, somebody works in this restaurant who's a bloody moron and shoved the soda, and it's a minor thing. I understand it's a very minor waste. It's almost a waste of time for me to complain about it and for you to listen to it. It's almost a waste of time, except it wasn't that long, and it's just to underscore your point that you're wasting your life, basically. That's my point. Anyway, I don't have a bad routine here. This is a morning break. This could be a Tanya recording time, because then I'm going to go to yoga class, and then later I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu.
Well, don't forget to read a book.
Right. I sent you that picture when I went out. Remember that image?
Yeah, books. Wow.
Books. Let's get Omar up here. We got Omar.
No,
You're good?
I'm good on Omar. I have shit I have to do as well. You know, it's important how we spend our time, what we listen to, what we think about, what we say. There was something interesting I read in this Kabbalah book about the word pay in Hebrew, and this verse in Tanya or Torah that says, your life is dependent on what you say. So if you read a book out loud, it's like you're cheating because you're using somebody else's information, but it's coming out of your mouth. So it's like a hack, meaning that if all you do is think and say what you know, but you don't ever utilize some third party software program to override who you are and what you think and what you say, you'll never really get the riches that you want. So books are truly the secret. And it's kind of interesting. Backwards, it's cube. Listen to this one. What is the sun backwards? Like, what's the English gematria of sun backwards?
News?
No, in us.
And us.
In us.
In us.
So the light is in us. The energy is in us.
What do you think like bagel backwards?
Legab.
Legab. So like when you have
Leg.
a bagel, it's a good chance to have a conversation with a friend. You have like a little legabbing.
Legab. The legab. Okay, Omar. Here's
Legab.
your big shot, Omar. What do you want to say in the wisdom of the fool? Nothing. Cat's got your tongue.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say good morning and yeah, thank you for inviting me last night.
I heard actually that good morning is a racist term because the slave masters would abuse the slaves and kill them in the middle of the night. And then when they would greet the other slaves, they would say, "Did you have a good morning?" Like mourning the death of your friends who we killed all night. So that's why good morning is actually saying like good morning with a U. Good morning.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it weird also how we say hello? We use the word hell to greet one another. It's very strange.
Yeah, that is weird. I wonder what's the origin of hello.
See, it's very Taoistic or yin yang. I mean, why in the world would you greet somebody with hell? But instead of saying something pleasant like joy, you say hell.
Well, that's what's beautiful about Hebrew. Shalom.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful, by the way, about American hip hop culture, because they say, "Hey, peace, what it do?" And that's a greeting. They say, "Peace, peace, my nigga."
I have a clip of you rapping in this Carmelo Anthony room. And I did it over like an image overlay. I can't. I if I can find
Can you play it?
It's just buried somewhere. I don't know which one it is.
It's buried in your mountains of content. See, sometimes you have like good things, like the recording of me reading that Pan.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great poem. That's like for somebody who likes to read. Like, I learned how to read in acting class. So if you give me like a good monologue, like Shakespeare or whatever, like that's the fun shit to read.
Well, you want to read something right now?
Pan, I am. Iopan. I mean, I can read for a bit. I'm just having a cannabis break, and then I'm going to go to yoga at noon. So I got to leave in about an hour.
Have you ever read The Rights of Man?
No, The Rights of Man. R-I-T-E-S.
Here, I'll find it for you. I'll pin it.
Oh, The Rights and Thomas
No.
It's a book. It's a whole book. I can't read the whole book.
No.
Oh, or is it The Rights of Man, R-I-T-E-S? Are you thinking of Thomas Paine or
No, it's Crowley.
Rosalind Miles?
Okay, pinning link at top now. Here we go.
Have
This
you
is a
heard this
very
referred to?
this is a very powerful reframe. Very powerful reframe. Competitive reframing, because you could say that it supersedes the Constitution, it supersedes everything. But go ahead, read that out loud, click that link above, and I'll create a short of you reading it.
The whole thing?
It's not that long. Did you click it?
Yeah, but I mean, should I? There's like 4 quotes in the beginning, and then there's the text.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, just read the whole thing top to bottom, and I'll create a 1 minute audio clip of you reading
Okay.
it.
All right. You ready?
Wait, hold on. Let me cue this up. I'll tell you action. I'll give you
What's
a 3, 2, 1.
AL?
I'm not
See how
sure.
it says like AL2? Should I? I'm just
I
gonna
think that's
skip all
Latin.
that.
I think that's Latin numerals.
Okay, I'm gonna skip that.
Okay, cool. Wait 1 sec. Okay, we're ready. 3, 2, 1, action.
The rights of man. The law of the strong. This is our law and the joy of the world. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Thou hast no right but to do thy will. Do that, and no other shall say nay. Every man and woman is a star. There is no God but man. Man has the right to live by his own law, to live in the way that he wills to do, to work as he will, to play as he will, to rest as he will, to die when and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, to drink what he will, to dwell where he will, to move as he will on the face of the earth. Man has the right to think what he will, to speak what he will, to write what he will, to draw, paint, carve, etch, mold, build as he will, to dress as he will. Of man. Man has the right to love as he will. Take your fill and will of love as ye will, when, where, and with whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. The slaves shall serve. Love is the law. Love under will. All right, that was a little forceful. Sometimes when I'm reading, it's like a little sounds like a little angry, but
Well, you were a liberal lefty at one time. It's still
right,
there.
I have a lot of sublimated rage. That was good, bro. I mean, that was big for me. That is a positive reframing, because a big part of the bullshit that I've gotten over the years, I mean, this is a poem for me, because my problem is I don't believe that I have the right to live by my own law. And I don't really believe that I have the right to think what I want to think. I don't believe that I have the right to speak what I will or to write what I will. And it's important to remember that man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. As it is written, the slaves shall serve.
I don't think it's literal. I think the slaves are essentially the people in these clubhouse rooms. It's not about having slaves or being supreme or master over anyone. It's really just a commentary on the condition of man. Those who are unenlightened or unawakened are the slaves that are serving those who have achieved the wisdom. That's the way I would view it. Because I think a lot of people who criticize Crowley, they're taking it literally instead of imaginatively, or they're taking it too literally. So if you read something about child sacrifice or genocide of the Amalekites, it's 2025. So let's not debate in a time machine, stupid. Let's just call it what it is, a metaphor, an analog, an allegory, a simile. There's a lot of technical terms to describe what you're reading that's not literal, stupid. I'm not saying you're stupid, but I'm saying the stupid slaves in this app who can't have conversations because every word is real.
looked it up, and apparently, hello, etymologically, is tied to words like whole and health, not hell.
It isn't 5s, 10s, or 20s anymore.
Which comes from the old. Okay, so right. It is derived from variants like hullo or holla. It doesn't say where it's from, but it's not from the Old English hell, which means the underworld. So anyway, I think it's interesting that instead of saying hell, we're essentially saying to each other, health. Health, John, how are you? Health to you. You know, I think that's kind of nice. It reminds me, do you know my friend B.F. Peterson, imprisoned Fauci?
I'm honored to have the big dogs and the God game begging at my table, but money doesn't make emotional investments or invest in emotional entities. Too much risk in such ventures. Not enough opportunity. You could always hedge your bets. There's no deal for you here today, gentlemen. Money stays in the bank. This is agreeable. What a sad waste of capital. I'd like to pay.
There's other links on that sacred text website.
Sacred text.
Very good website. It's got a lot
cool.
on there.
Look at all this. There's a lot. Oh, yeah. Wow. No, it's got everything.
It's got Native American stuff, too, if you want to read some of those. Have you ever heard the Native American expression, if you can say it, it is not true? It's basically a Zen statement.
That's very Tao.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the Thanksgiving address?
I think so, yeah. That one where there were the pilgrims literally on Thanksgiving?
Possibly. It's amazing. Let's see if I can find the full text. Should I try to get the full text? The thing about the Thanksgiving address is it's one of these things that it's like, you know that joke, The Aristocrats?
Mm-hmm.
So the Thanksgiving address is like The Aristocrats in that you can make it your own. Some people make it longer or shorter. Oh man, this is nice. Should I read it? Maybe we should read the Thanksgiving address. Here, I'll put the link in the chat. Paste. Okay, I put the link in the chat. Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address. Greetings to the natural world. It's very good. It's a way to open gatherings. When you have all gathered together for some sort of activity, you may choose to give the Thanksgiving address. And it's like a prayer for the beginning of something. Man, if you really read this whole thing before, like, every meeting, there's no way that you could get in an argument during the meeting.
Oh, yeah, you can. People quickly...
Oh, yeah, you can.
People quickly get dehypnotized.
We're arguing already. Look at us. No, you can't.
This app shows you that people are completely irascible, and no matter what, whatever somebody is thinking, they're going to want to say it, because if they don't say it, it doesn't create the dopamine. So you'll hear you know how they say, ask questions, even if you have stupid questions.
You're saying
your browser is loading slowly. Optimize the background process now.
Fuck did I just... Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address. Again, there's the cycles, Earth Mother. The waters, the fish, the plants, the food, animals. That's a one. Oh, this is a good hypnosis document.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, see how it says, now our minds are one? Like that.
Right, you could read it. You should read it that way. Now our minds are one. We turn our minds to the all, the fish, life, and the water they were instructed to cleanse and purify the water they also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water, so now we turn to the fish and send our greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one.
Haudenosaunee. Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do this one on your nature walks.
Well, unfortunately, it would be an example of cultural appropriation, which is akin to celebrating and perpetuating the erasure and genocide of native peoples.
So stupid.
So I wouldn't want to do that.
That is all stupid because there's only the now, and you are even a compression of the Native Americans disappearing. You're literally, it's not cultural appropriation. What you're doing is essentially reviving or
and it's
preserving.
the opposite of cultural appropriation. It's like, fuck you. How about you're an idiot? How about cultural appropriate these nuts?
They're trying to culturally appropriate your cultural appropriation. It's a frame of the reframe, and it's just what people do. If the thing is, when somebody reframes you, or if you say projection and then they scream projection back out at you, you just say you're projecting about projecting, and then the argument ends. It's amazing how if you just, like, Trump is the master of this. Trump is a master reframer. He doesn't let anything go. If a journalist asks a stupid question, he's gonna fix it. Like, it's the same thing from Dracula Dead and Loving It when Mel Brooks can't leave and he's got to say Fushta, and Liam Neeson keeps going Fushta. Like, everybody wants to get the last word in. It's basically about just like it's like your brain doesn't want to be put into a state of disequilibrium. So if somebody gets a stab in and you can't get a stab back, you're just like not happy. You're not balanced. And it's basically implying that, like, you can't let it go, but you're the kind of person who is constantly optimizing. Okay, so this is your recording. Here we go.
The rights of man. The law of the strong. This is our law and the joy of the world. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Thou hast no right but to do thy will. Do that, and no other shall say nay. Every man and woman is a star.
It's crazy. If you do thou will, no other man or woman may say nay. So do you know how hard that it is to actually do your will and to follow through with it? But if you do, no one will say any different, meaning that they will acquiesce to your true will. So the question is,
have you read?
What is your true will? Will is basically the spirit. And so how do you create a oneness? You know, like that document you just shared, our minds now are one. How do you create a oneness with the mind of God or the universe and get that? The thing is, it's called a universal joke or cosmic consciousness or the cosmic joke. God is a trickster. God is a comedian. So once you get the joke is wordless, the nameless name. It is essentially the silence. So you have to create a silence in your mind, which is basically like the garden. You know, if you ever go on a nature walk and you're totally immersed in listening, you are essentially one with the universe. It's when we shut up and we stop thinking that we end our problems.
Some might say that if you think of the word wild or the wilderness, like, how do you define what is the wilderness? What is wild nature? Wild nature is essentially willed nature. It is when the bees are doing what they will, and the plants are doing what they will, and the humans are doing what they will, and the moose are doing what they will, then you're in the wilderness, when everything is willed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was the other thing I was going to say? Have you read Damien? Have I talked to you about that?
Yep.
Damien?
Yep, you brought it up a couple times.
Yeah, man, you should read that. It opens with this quote. I only wanted to live in accordance with the promptings which came from my true self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why was this so very difficult?
Well, yourself is the will. The will is the law. The law is the way. And the Tao Te Ching is basically the Cliff Notes. it totally aligns with everything else. And then you could read Kabbalah, you could read Sufism with Rumi. All these sacred texts is the way, but it's also not the way. But I just think I think it's basically Cliff Notes or compression. And so if you compare that transcript, because everything here on Clownhouse is a transcript, you can get a print off of what everybody said in a room, and when you read it, you'll say, "Oh God, this is so stupid." But if you look at a transcript from a book, you're like, "Oh wow, this is brilliant." So the question is, you have to make a choice all the time. Do you want to go do you want to take a left or do you want to take a right? Really, and then you just go straight forward on it. But that's what's happening here. That's why this app is shit, because you're essentially downloading a transcript of stupidity and putting it into your consciousness all the time. It's fucked up. There's a lot of fucking stupid people on here, and they're going straight into your brain.
All right, here. Can I read something else?
Somebody on YouTube said that my head is reflecting light.
It's always, bro. Why do they always talk about the same shit?
I have this, one of them was called Republican Comedian, and people constantly comment, "You are not funny. This is not funny. You are not funny."
This is not comedy. When I first got on YouTube, did I tell you about my friend Penniless Cripple? I never tell you about her.
No.
When I first got on YouTube in 2007, I had a friend. There was this person who was always commenting on my shit, and I thought their username was Penile Scribble. But then I realized their name was Penniless Cripple. And then I ended up getting to be friends with this. I should call her again. I haven't reached out to her in a long time, probably a couple months. But she was my friend for 20 years, and she is a penniless cripple. And she is an obese woman. She's probably 70 now, and one of her legs is shorter than the other. And she was a great influence on me and sent me a lot of books. And we had a lot of conversations. I ended up meeting her, and we would talk about YouTube back in the early days of YouTube and analyze human behavior. And she realized and pointed out to me that if you wear a hat in a video, you will get a comment at some point that says "nice hat." It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And if you are bald in a video, you will at some point get a comment that says, "Hey, baldy, you're bald."
150 is the new.
That's funny.
Well, I think.
Right, you want to hear what? You want to hear some wisdom or no?
What are you gonna read?
I'm gonna read a quote from Damien by Herman Hesse.
Okay, go for it.
The point is that this God of both Old and New Testaments is certainly an extraordinary figure, but not what he purports to represent. He is all that is good, noble, fatherly, beautiful, elevated, sentimental, true. But the world consists of something else besides, and what is left over is ascribed to the devil. This entire slice of world, this entire half, is hushed up in exactly the same way they praise God as the father of all life, but simply refuse to say a word about our sexual life on which it's based, describing it whenever possible as sinful, the work of the devil. I have no objection to worshiping this God, Jehovah, far from it. But I mean, we ought to consider everything sacred, the entire world, not merely this artificially separated half. Thus, alongside the divine service, we should also have a service for the devil. I feel that would be right. Otherwise, you must create for yourself a God that contains the devil too, and in front of which you needn't close your eyes when the most natural things in the world take place. Bribed to the devil. A shit, or jerking off. Dismal. I feel that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kabbalah deals with Ein Sof, and that contains Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov. So, There's a lot of murders, man. I don't know what to tell you. We live in a very dangerous environment where there's so many murders. It's so crazy.
I was thinking the other day, I mean, I did hear that I think Maine is still possibly this one of the safest states as far as crime, although it might be changing. But there's so much crime here, and I live in Portland, Maine, and I can't even imagine what it's like to live in Chicago, New York, DC, even Boston. Like, there's crazy shit happening here, and I live in like a tiny little town, and you live in like a real place where like do you hear gunshots like
Yeah,
regularly?
every summer I hear gunshots for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I hear gunshot like maybe once a year. I might hear one gunshot, or once every 2 years. I'm like, fuck, I think that was a gun. What the fuck? Or during hunting season, you hear them, but that's for hunting.
There are certain neighborhoods in Chicago where it literally sounds like Iraq, you know. Like it's a war zone. Literally a
Yeah,
war
that's
zone.
crazy.
And
That's heavy duty.
yeah, it's like I can't understand why the National Guard and the governor doesn't deploy forces to the worst neighborhoods in the summer to prevent mass shootings. It's so crazy. It's like fight the terrorists, you know, shoot them, wage war against them. It's just the thing is because we live in such a liberal woke society that would be considered racial genocide, and you know everything, it would become political if you fight back against the gangs. It's stupid. It's like these are people who are destined for jail. Fight them now, you know. I mean, why do we have soldiers? Why do we pay salaries and buy equipment and do all this shit if we don't enforce our own laws? So we live in a lawless state with lawless charlatans, which are really just immoral hypnotists that are really just panderers who, you know, are social woke political activists. Illinois is, you know, I mean, I hope Pritzker runs for president because then he's going to lose. And then we'll get some other governor or something, but Pritzker's got to go.
I don't know who that is.
He's a Jewish governor. He wrote the Zohar. I'm making a joke, but he didn't write the Zohar, but he has the Pritzker edition of the Zohar, which is a huge, huge library of Zohar information. Okay, this is your second clip.
True. But the world consists of something else besides. And what is left over is ascribed to the devil. This entire slice of world, this entire half, is hushed up in exactly the same way they praise God as the Father of all life, but simply refuse to say a word about our sexual life on which it's based, describing it whenever possible as sinful, the work of the devil. I have no objection to worshiping this God, Jehovah, far from it. But I mean, we ought to consider everything sacred, the entire world, not merely this artificially separated half. Thus, alongside the divine service, we should also have a service for the devil. I feel that would be right. Otherwise, you must create for yourself a God that contains the devil too.
So I debated a lot of Quranists last night, and I ripped into the Quran because it's such a stupid book. And so I was reading it. Have you ever read the Quran, my friend?
No, not really.
Okay, so you're gonna laugh when you actually look at it because it's so stupid. So what it is, if you go to like, I'm looking at the back, there's like it's line by line by line, and then you look at the Arabic, and so what it is a bunch of desert stupid people creating a dictionary about concepts. And so you'll see like the verse, which is only 3 words long, and then you'll see the Arabic writing. So, you know, they are in that book because it's the book and like the only book at that time, essentially. You know, there weren't competing books. You see what I'm saying? So what they're doing is creating like a pictograph book of these concepts. And but it's very mundane, almost like, you know, the beginning of language. Like it says they beguile. Then you look at the right, and then you're like, okay, that's how you create they beguile in Arabic. Then you see the help, and you're like, oh, that's how you write the help. And then God is infinite. You're like, okay, look at that. So what it is, it's like they're creating flashcards of concepts, and it's very stupid because they plagiarized and committed copyright infringement. They took other sacred texts and took the characters and wrote their own, script. So if you can't see that as a Muslim, you're full of shit, man. And you'll never shut the fuck up about it because you're political and you'll demand that people accept it as the supreme and only and final variety. That you got that they have the updated version, but you don't. So they're fucking stupid. They're that fucking stupid that they think there's not a million other books that can compete with that program. They're so stupid. So they're dangerous in that regard.
What can you give me another example? I'm still not really understanding what you're saying here.
I'm just saying that they're all or nothing on the glorious Quran. And that's a very dangerous person. If you are all or nothing on one book, you're fucking stupid. Therefore, you're a danger to my well-being because you believe that you are supreme and the one and only last best greatest thing since fucking sliced cheese. They're stupid. You see what I'm saying? They're beyond stupid. They're the definition of stupidity.
Right. Who were you debating? Somebody on Clown House?
Yeah, I was going into. We had this. Do you know Sam, the ginger, the Jewish ginger?
Yeah.
He had a room called, is Islam or are Muslims good for women or something like that. It was also about Muslim rape, and so there was a guy from India who was giving countless examples of how Muslims, have impacted India's lives. Indians' lives. Oh, Islam is right about women. Yeah, that was the name of it. So that's the problem with a Quranist is that they take it so literally, and it is the one and only book ever created, that they are just basically automatons, non-playable characters, and thus they're very dangerous and stupid and annoying and a waste of your time. So that's we have a national security problem in this country. They're building huge mosques in major states.
And they can't fucking drive, by the way. But yes, also the mosques.
They just can't look left or right. They're just one-sided, and they're all or nothing, and they're essentially anti-Constitution, anti-American. They're dangerous because, as you just read The Rights of Man, and you agreed, it's a powerful reframe. The Quran is also a very stupid and powerful reframe, but the danger is in that it's stupid. It's so stupid. You could read a book from 2,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and it's so much more intelligent than Quran. Quran is very stupid. It's literally rudimentary, and it's just not sophisticated. It is as if a retard wrote it. So I encourage you to actually look at it one day and to remind yourself of how stupid it is. I could read you verses right now, and you'll say, well, okay, great, but that's pretty basic and pretty stupid.
I do have
barely makes a point. It's like a concept book. I'm telling you, it's retarded.
Right, I have it here in this book. The only Quran I have is in this book, which I guess the jacket is upside down. Okay.
You can also use it for like mystical purposes because there's a lot of like mysticism in it, and you can see how it's basically like a grimoire or a magic book, but a very stupid one.
All of their quotes from Islam are from Rumi. Is that true? Rumi. Oh no, Laji. I don't have anything from the Quran. I just have... from the Quran.
Yeah, Rumi borrows a lot from the Quran, or he quotes little passages, or he doesn't. I mean, but yeah, it's amazing because you can talk about it, and that girl Princessia on here, she'll be like, "What version of the Quran are you reading? Though that's a terrible translation." They just live and die by it. They're fucking retarded. I mean, they're stupid. And so it is thus essentially a you problem if you're going to spend all your time debating Quranists, because they're the song that never ends, and that song gets very annoying. Yeah.
I don't know. This seems very basic. I don't have very much here.
It's a very basic book, but the point is, people will live and die on a hill for that fucking book. That's how stupid they are. And because they have no comparison of other books, it makes them extremely stupid and dangerous. Because they will live and die on a hill for that stupid book. And it's glorious. Look at the word itself. Qur'an. Qur'an.
And what does that mean?
It's a sound.
Uh-huh.
It's a sound.
You think it's a dumb sound?
It's not dumb. It's a very powerful hypnosis, because I can go to the glorious Quran recitation room 24/7 right now, and it's very powerful hypnosis. And in every major Muslim city, they do the call to prayer multiple times a day, and it is a very powerful hypnosis. But there's just not a whole lot of meat and potatoes there. It's not a large language model. It's a compression, but it's a stupid compression. So, you know, we are, as Americans, in 1776 there were a lot of Muslims, and I mean, look at the first operation that we led in Montezuma. What is it, Montezuma? What is it? Where in Africa was it? From the shores of Gallipoli, right? Well, which one was it? Anyways, that was our first military operation, were to get rid of the Muslim pirates that had taken U.S. Prisoners as slaves. Shores of Montezuma, is that it? It was the first Marine Corps action. So, we are not at war with Islam, but Islam is always in a perpetual war with outsiders and insiders. There's in-group, out-group with Islamists. And, that's the thing, is they refuse to have burritos, tacos, pizza, cheeseburgers. All they do is eat goat. And, goat meat is okay, but, who wants to eat goat meat all the time? That's my hypothesis. That's how I would convert a Muslim or an Islamist or a Quranist into taking up philosophy, and essentially,
You'd say, "Hey, have a taco. You ever have a taco?"
yeah. I mean, I could say the same thing to an Orthodox Jew who only eats kosher and only, reads these 3 books, and I could say, have you ever read Damien?
I met an Orthodox Jew. I think I told you this. When I went to Israel for a month, one of the guys who I was living with was 34, really nice guy. He was the only one who wore kippah. He was he was not Orthodox. He was like a conservative Jew. He wore kippah. He kept kosher. But he had never heard of the Tanya, or he had heard of the Tanya, but he had never read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a copy of the Tanya, and he enjoyed it. And he also, maybe this is Lashon Hara a little bit, but he also broke many of his rules throughout the month. And then sometimes we would go to a non-kosher restaurant, and be like, fuck it, I'm going to fucking get this thing here, fuck it. So, everybody breaks their own little rules.
Well, the food stuff is, oh, hey, Mike Moon. I think the food stuff is, important. It's all important. It's just, can you do it? Do you have the will? Can you optimize? Because basically, by forcing yourself to be kashrut or only eat kosher food, you could look at it as a magical operation, that if I eat this kosher piece of pizza, I'm going to have some type of, Y output from my X input. So that's the way you can view magical formulas, which is tied to your action. Reading a book is an action. Making a bowel movement is an action. I mean, any type of exchange, action, or change or movement, you can tie into some type of magical rationalization if you're that retarded and that crazy to do it. But this is super stupid hypnosis. We have Mike Moon here. We have Benji. We have Ben. We have my friend. We have Zenamini. We have Koss. And we have many YouTube viewers that have joined us. And so these are some of the comments on YouTube. This is kind of funny. He wrote, "Are you the analyzer? The cult is real. I live near a base. It's normal where I'm at. Soldiers don't arrest people, bro. What the fuck? Have you ever watched Idiocracy? It's basically a movie that documented the MAGA movement. Trump equals clown show. This wannabe man must not have a 401k. The Bible says the earth has only been here 10,000 years, bro. Okay. Wow, your head is reflecting light." So, Dr. Benji, thanks for putting together that show yesterday where, I really roasted Andrew, really roasted him, took it to the next level, and I thought it was fun. It's good comedy in my opinion. Did you want to say something, Zach?
No, I was just going to make fun of that. I was going to make fun of those comments.
Somebody also wrote meth 2 and then go for a jog. And a lot of highs and hellos. How was your day?
Go to the gym, fatty, go to the gym.
So the whole point, in my opinion, of philosophy is to establish and create a hypnosis, a flow state, or a deep state of relaxation. Let it go. Don't worry about a non-existent future. If things are okay right now, things will be okay in the non-existent future because there's only the now. And so when you get back to the now, you realize just how ridiculous people are. The concept of a time machine is essentially what people are doing. When they come on this app and they have conversations, they literally get into a DeLorean, close the door, and go at 88 miles per hour to generate enough gigawatts to go back to the year 1965, 1947, 167 BC. I mean, the projection, the history hypnosis projection game just never ends with people on this app, and it's really because they're super bored. But as the listener, when people project their imagination and you listen to their political position and how they think that they're convincing you of their political propaganda, it's a huge waste of time. It's not a waste of time if you record it though and repurpose it or replatform it onto a different platform. That's where it has value, is that you are literally conducting a research project or an anthropological study of in-group, out-group, non-native English speakers, political repositionings or reframings. Because I think we have come to the conclusion that there are so many foreign speakers on this app that essentially we become foreign English language tutors. It's like, I don't need to go to South Korea to become an English language teacher. I can just flick open this fucking app Clown House and I'll get sucked dry of my English with people that want to just talk because I'm a native English speaker and they have political positions. But a lot of these assholes are Americans. Anyways, welcome, Abuela. as I describe Clown House.
Glad to be here.
What do you think about the situation, Dr. Abuelo?
What situation?
The situation.
I think it's beautiful.
You believe in a beautiful situation?
I do. Every situation is beautiful.
Beautiful. I love that for you. That's beautiful. Mike Moon, did you want to say anything, Mike Moon, in the Super Comedy Hypnosis Room? We all have things to do today.
I mean, not necessarily. I think your point about remaining present, and that if you're okay right now, you're okay in the non-existent future for now. I think that's a really important thing to channel. I constantly live in the future and dread. I have a certain amount of money in my bank account that's not a particular lot, but it's enough for today. And I have seemed to always have enough for today, and it seemed to be that way most of my life. I don't value money in the sense that I want to collect it. So it's not like a desire of mine to get richer. And so the problem is I'm having an increasingly difficult time just having enough to be okay, to be safe and comfortable. And in the past, it seemed like that was easy to do. It seems like it's getting harder to do that. So that the stress that I feel today makes me worry about the future more than I used to. And it's just a result of things seeming to feel more difficult to maintain the status quo, I guess, if that makes any sense. So in that respect, I'm spending a lot of time in the future that I don't need to be doing in my head. And it's causing me to have stress and anxiety in the present, which if I try to directly correlate that present-minded awareness to my actual bank account today, I'm okay. I'm okay. So the question is, why do I do that to myself? And I think a lot of people do it to themselves. And you can take that same exact concept, you can apply it to
get richer, and so
the
problem is
tariffs. Tariffs would be awesome. Tariffs are going to ruin things. Listen, we don't know what the fuck tariffs are going to do, but today they appear to be creating a little bit of chaos and the inability for people to predict the future as well as they usually do. And for that reason alone, present-minded people are seeing their bank account shrink because the people in charge of making those decisions are not comfortable. And so that's an example of a bunch of people predicting the future that are fucking up the present bank accounts of people that have in the past maybe been responsible enough to save money. And now they're stressing out because people are predicting the future as one way or the other. And frankly, none of us fucking know. But what we do know is that there's a lot of chaos right now, and it's difficult to not feel uneasy as a result of it. So I guess that's my summary of how I'm feeling.
Okay, so try to explore deeper into your feelings, because if you reference, fear is the only thing we have to fear. There is only the now. So what is the general angst or discomfort in your psyche? Go deeper into it.
For me, it's shame and regret for decisions I didn't make in the past to better protect myself financially for my future. And now I'm getting older, and it's becoming a little more relevant to me, whereas before I just didn't worry about it. And so for me, it's a little bit of shame and regret for not making better decisions when I was younger at this point as a 50-year-old. So that's part of what I'm feeling. And so that's a present-minded feeling that I'm having as a result of past decisions that I didn't make. Again, I'm living in the past when I think that way. At the same time, am I okay for the future? Yes, because I'm okay today. So I'm not sure why I spend so much time worrying about the future. So that anxiety, it comes from shame, regret, past speaking. It comes from a lifetime of living in a future-minded awareness instead of a present-minded awareness. Present-minded awareness is only something I discovered the potential to do, or my ability to do, very recently in my life. Like in the last 10 years, I understand the concept and have really channeled it, learned to meditate, and seeing the good benefits of that. So if I can maintain the discipline of meditating on a daily basis, it drastically improves my mental awareness. That said, I don't do it on a regular basis, and so that's my problem. But to go deeper, I was talking about this to my friend yesterday. I see a world obsessed with wealth, and I see the wealth increasingly difficult to obtain for what used to be a middle class, which is regular people. The regular people are no longer able to obtain the wealth that was a little bit, that just kind of came naturally when you were good at something in the past. That's not good enough anymore. It's more about playing a game now to get there than it is actually having legit skills that will maintain safety for your day, for your career and everything else. And so because of that, America is obsessed with wealth, but I'm not. I've never been interested in being wealthy. And in the past, that didn't hurt me to the extent that it appears to be hurting me now, because I was just really good at the things I did, and I did whatever I wanted, and I was always comfortable. And now it doesn't seem like that's enough. And that's what, so the psyche, it's weighing on me. It's making me second guess myself. It's making me question my own past decisions. It's making me question my present skills. And like a lot of Americans, I worry about my kids. When I look at my kids today, I worry about what's going to happen to them in the future. So going deeper in my psyche,
it just kind of came
it's creating, I'm creating my own anxieties and shame and regret and fear. It's all being created because I choose not to be obsessed with wealth, and now it seems to be biting me in the ass because I can't even stay comfortable. So the goal for most people is no longer to be wealthy. That's a pipe dream. It's becoming increasingly, the goal is just to be comfortable or to own a home someday, which is looking increasingly not likely for most, whatever's left of the middle class. And I see that as problematic. I see it as deeply problematic that the middle class is disappearing and that it's going to be just people who have everything or people who struggle to have anything. I think that's really concerning. So it's making me less proud of my country. As a former U.S. Marine, I had a ton of patriotism when I was younger. I feel that going away. And all of it is just kind of, it's disconcerting and it's sad. And so it's making it a struggle to not remain depressed. I was deeply depressed years ago. I managed to kind of pull myself out of it. And now it's just a day-to-day fight. And it's frustrating. And I don't think any decently smart, hardworking, 50-year-old American who's worked since he was 16 years old and served his country should have to worry about paying my fucking bills on a day-to-day basis when I have essentially two jobs that basically earn me what used to be one job worth. And add to that the instability of companies not being loyal to their employees and just cutting us loose whenever the fuck they want to for their numbers. It's a scary time for a lot of people, dude. I'm not the only one feeling it. I guarantee it.
Okay, so I can play back to you what you just said, and then we can actually, I'm not going to, but what we could do is actually analyze your words, because the belief is that you are your words. So the trick would be to get you to read a script, to reframe everything you just said. So I would encourage you to read The Rights of Man out loud and essentially reprogram yourself.
To read The Rights of Man, you said?
Yeah.
Is that a book?
It's basically a one-page statement by Aleister Crowley.
Oh, okay.
So there's something in here that says...
I agree with what you're saying. There's like this certain reality that saying things makes them real, and that saying different things can make those things real as well, good and bad. So I'm increasingly agreeing with that.
Yeah, it's just programming. It's like software. It's a book. But I'm going to pin the link to the top if you want to read it out loud. I can record you reading it and play it back to you as a feedback loop. Because, your words aren't going to serve you because, it's just, they're not strong enough So you need a hard reset and a reprogram. Zach did it just a minute ago. You could read it out loud if you want. Click the link above, and then this room is on replay. But I will also create like a 60-second clip and send it to you. So basically, you'll just be listening to yourself, but it's a powerful reframe.
Mike, you should read it.
I mean, there's other documents. Like the thing is, there's this one statement. It says, don't fear money."
I'm gonna read it. I'm actually driving right now, so I can't. But I'm probably gonna take this coming exit, and then I'll read it to the room.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's this other powerful statement. It says, "Don't fear money." And I think a lot of people spend so much time thinking about money, but they never really think about what's on the money. So if you study Freemasonry and you know what the sigils are, you'll know that dollars are artwork and magical instruments, or pressings of magical sigils. And so if you use the knowledge or you have documents that are, related and have information about those sigils and you read that, that would be like a magical operation to create manifestation of dollars in your life. But there's also a double entendre there where you could publish information about the sigils, about how to do meditation and hypnosis work, and you would actually get compensated. Like my friend earlier said, if I wear a hat on YouTube, eventually if I have enough hours on YouTube, you're going to have lots of comments about hats. But imagine if you just had a sign that said, "Send me money now." Patreon.com/send me money now.
Eventually somebody would send you money.
Yes, because all communication is hypnosis. And unless you give somebody the instructions to send you money, no one will ever send you money. So you might as well start putting out communication to send me money. And I had a small publishing business, and I got a lot of people to send me money. I had a PO box. Every week I'd go to the PO box, and there would be 50 envelopes for checks for $19.95, $29.95, $39.95, $89.95. I would go to the bank with 100 checks worth thousands of dollars every single month, and it was amazing. It was all because people were sending me money because I asked them to send me their money. They were buying a book that I wrote, but I had many books that I was selling. And so my point is there's ways to get out of all situations, but the only way to get out of a situation is with more information. And thus, this is the value of books and the repurposing of books, or what it really is always a communication business. And it's always essentially a hypnosis business. And if you go to YouTube, which is the modern publishing platform of the world, you will see many young people that have huge followings, and they are the updated version of my 20-year-old self, and they are making a lot of money. YouTube is sending out over $1 billion a month to its publishers. I mean, that's not true, maybe like 600 million, but the point is there's many people making a lot of money on YouTube, and then they have ancillary businesses and they sell books on Amazon, or they sell products and swag. But the whole point is there's a huge, tremendous body of information out there that can be repurposed, republished, and utilized personally, and then you can utilize it in a business, which is essentially the enlightenment business. And Dr. Jordan Gruber on here, who owns enlightenment.com, who does nothing with the website because he's lazy, is another good person who is exactly expressing what Mike Moon is expressing, which is, I am worried about the future because shit is getting so expensive and I can't afford to pay the fucking bills. And the property taxes are out of control. The gas and electric are out of control. Everything is expensive. I can't have one thing go wrong. Otherwise I'm fucked and I don't have the money. But I got to get more money. So what am I going to do in my free time? Am I going to listen to Dr. Jazzy talk about this and talk about that? Or am I going to actually maybe start re-educating myself with what we call books?
All right, I'm going to read it. Hang on. I'm safely parked. Okay. Let me see. Hang on a second. Will not rotate for me, will it? No? Okay. the joy of the world. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Thou hast no right but to do thy will. Do that, and no other shall say nay. Every man and every woman is a star. Man has the right to live by his own law, to live in the way that he wills it to do, to work as he will, to play as he will, to rest as he will, and to die when and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, to drink what he will, to dwell what he will, to move as he will on the face of the earth. Man has the right to think what he will, to speak what he will, to write what he will, to draw, paint, carve, etch, mold, build as he will, and to dress as he will. Man has the right to love as he will. Take your fill and will of love as ye will, when, where, and will whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. The slaves shall serve. Love is the law, shall say love under will.
So the love is the agape, and then will is the spirit. So what this, if you want more money and you want to extinguish the fear of the future even more, it is about like your kundalini, essentially. Like, how do we raise your positive vibrations? How do we contain your positive vibrations? How do we direct force power? So the whole thing is about creating gravity or force, but the only real way to do that is body consciousness, actually taking care of yourself, going to the gym, taking a hot bath, stretching every day, doing deep breathing every day, really caring for your body. And then outside of body consciousness is communication. So Hermes or Mercury or Jesus all deal with communication, the force of communication, the power of communication, and the prophet or the prophecy. So, you have to become a prophet essentially through communication. So just think about starting a publishing business, a communications business, a hypnosis business, an education business, a teaching business. It's one avenue of approach, but it's also for your own personal salvation and refinement. It's something to consider, which is forced communication, which is controlling communication. And that means what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're publishing. I know you're a publisher, so you won't have any problem doing this. This is just an alternative path to get to the source on your way. There's many paths to the top of the mountain. This would be considered one approach. You have to be a mountain climber. And if you want to climb mountains, you have to use communication. That's the way to do it. Elon Musk, he's a perfect example of someone that has to learn education, conform to the laws and rules of communication, or suffer the consequences. And this guy's already worth, $600 billion, but it's all just relative. You have the same opportunity. The game and the rules are all the same for every one of us. We are all on an expiration clock. Choose wisely. This game is a chessboard. There are rules to it, but you can essentially win the game through communication. I don't think there's any other really a good way to do it. No matter what, you're stuck doing communication. Everyone has to do it. Everyone has to market. AOC, Tucker Carlson, you, my friend, everyone. Everyone's business is completely dependent on their communication. And thus why Meta and Google and Microsoft are such big businesses. Because every single smaller business has to go to those three major tech companies, including Amazon or Apple. So you got the big five tech is every single business, whether it's a muffler shop, a shawarma shop, or a photography business, is ultimately engaged in a hypnosis communication marketing business at the end of the day, because the service itself is not that complicated, but how you competitively compete to get access to the customers is the challenging part, the part that takes a long time. So I hope this has been a positive reframing and communication hypnosis for you.
It has been, thank you. You're actually doing a kind deed here today. Like,
like, this is real shit.
He does real shit every day.
He does. I mean, in the very beginning of Clubhouse, not necessarily like years ago, I would not say that about him on a regular basis.
Well, that's what we all thought, that he was a British man named Edmund Dakin.
Yeah, he's gotten increasingly.
Once the truth was revealed, then there was no holding back. Sometimes there is no way to hold back the river.
You're a good guy, man. I like him. I always have, even when he used to rip on me.
Yeah, but you've been through boot camp. The whole part about ripping on somebody is to test the emotional waters of that person, to see how strong they really are, but then to give them that reflective insight where, ugh, I'm my own worst enemy and I'm so crazy. I'm yelling at some random person on a social audio chat app. I hope that people, because it's in people's memory, that experience, but you just hope that what you're doing, because this is like a Zen game where I keep whacking you on the head until you get the message, is that there's really no message. There's nothing to learn. It's just eat your food, make your bed, do your work, take a poop, repeat. 65 different winters and falls and and springs. I mean, you're overthinking it. Like, I could play back to what you just said about the future and the money and the fear and all that, and you'd see that this is a game that you're playing with yourself. And so this is like the whole point is enlightenment, to get to Paradise Island, which is now. And you don't have to have any fear about the future. There is no future. There's only the next 8-hour cycle until you go back to sleep. So this is the whole point of the universal joke or the comedy. What is it? The Tragedy of the Commons, or bourgeois versus proletariat. I mean, it's it's a sucker's bet, but the whole point is the communication. That's what I can't stress enough, is if you don't start working on your communication, nothing will change in the future for you. Your whole future is dependent on the programming now. Everything is now. So you have to start pulling books off the shelves and start creating programs for yourself to impact that future now. Welcome, Dr. Scott. Oh man, I roasted Dr. Scott and Steve Appel yesterday. I got him good. What did you think about that room, Dr. Scott? Did you enjoy it? It was a pretty intense hour and 20 minutes of roasting. It was a big barbecue. My friend, you weren't there. Mike, you weren't there. But it was an intense barbecue session. I was really laying into it. Don't you know how to raise your hand, Dr. Scott?
Hand raising was turned off.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't raise my hand. Wait, you roasted me? I didn't know. Did I hear you roast me?
You were in the room. I mean, because I remember.
I heard your roast, man.
What happened? It was called Say Something Interesting, and Steve Appel came up.
Oh, yeah, I was there for that. That was great. I thought it was hilarious. You were roasting Andrew, though, mostly.
Oh, I cooked that motherfucker 10 times over. And he just devolved into a child. Did you hear him doing his baby voice?
Yeah, he was like, sitting around in your car, and oh, dang. That was great. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and you started talking about how Jesus was a power top. And
oh, yeah, do you like that?
That really upset him. Because why would you talk about, if you're a true believer in Christ, like, why would you say something, negative and ridiculous about Jesus? And for him, he was like, don't say perverted things to this perverted guy. It's like, damn, man. The point is
people don't understand. I don't think people get you. Like, I think, like, I have a sincere respect for, like, the shit you're doing here. I think it's great. I think, I also think you have an interesting, serious, intellectual side that I appreciate too. But I think,
I also think you're mentally ill. But continue, please.
No, so I think, I don't know.
But that's the thing about, if somebody calls me mentally ill, I mean, everyone has to deal with their mental health, and everybody is on an index of mental health. It doesn't matter if you're a plastic surgeon, the governor, the president. Everyone has to deal with body consciousness. your physical health and your mental health. So um, the whole point is this is an insane app. You do not know people's back end, how they live, what their personal hygiene is like, what their education is, what their job is, what their savings. So everyone,
Pattern recognition.
it's impossible to know that back end thorough analysis of who you're communicating with. We have to judge a man on what he says. There's really no better diagnostic. And so when everything is a projection, all communication is hypnosis and all communication is a projection. I think it's all comedy, meaning that I can laugh at everybody's shtick. And a lot of people take themselves so seriously that they don't realize that what they're doing is a form of comedy of themselves. And many people's routines here are very dry and super boring and not necessarily funny and actually a huge waste of time. So we roasted Andrew on the fact that he has wasted years of his life. He could have read the Bible 20 times over and created an audiobook 20 times.
About that crew, though, too, I think it's very, well, I was going to say interesting, but it's the opposite of interesting. But the same people get together in those rooms to have the same arguments. So it's not just the same people or the same arguments. It's having the same arguments with the same people over and over, and no one moves, no one evolves, no one. There's just, it's the most static environment I've ever seen.
Well, that's the definition of insanity, is to keep repeating the same experiment over and getting the same shitty results. So, we've been talking about how to make money and how communication is a business. And many organizations are nothing more than communication organizations that don't actually create anything other than words. And that's a big problem, is there's no real productivity in just creating low IQ hypnosis. And Elon Musk said, you have no idea how hard it is to actually create something useful or valuable that can be commoditized or commercialized. It's very difficult. So in communication, it's an index, and 80% of it is just filler hypnosis, and maybe 20% is high value. I would say that sacred text has got to be the highest value information in that index.
By the way, it's great to see the great Mike Moon, the namesake of the Mike Moon rule. I'm a big Mike Moon fan, huge Mike Moon fan.
Likewise, Scott. Thanks, man.
But this is the thing about sacred text, is what is it useful for? It's useful for creating deep relaxation response and integration or comprehension and knowledge. So it's a shortcut. And guys like Steve Appel or any devout atheist who is not interesting, and when you ask them to say something interesting, they give you a statistic about how many people are no longer believers in Jesus or Moses or Krishna or Muhammad, whatever. That's not interesting. It's not, there's no knowledge there. So the whole point about sacred text really is, again, just about creating deep and profound relaxation in oneself. And if you can create deep and profound relaxation in yourself, you can do that for other people. It makes you an effective communicator. As you know, many people on this app are completely incapable of having actual coherent conversations where when you're speaking, I'm listening, and vice versa. So there's an education problem, there's a public speaking problem. And, as warriors or knights of the realm, that sword is not for actually beheading, people. It's for communicating with people. It's force directed. And if you can create division or conflict or stir the pot, but not give anybody any actual insight into self or enlightenment, you're really just stirring the pot because you're stupid. And so a lot of pot stirs are just really miserable, unhappy people because they don't have wisdom. They don't have knowledge, comprehension, integration. And they're trying to get it, but they're so impatient and so lazy, they'll never get it. I mean, Jazzy isn't going to some Zen Buddhist monastery to do yoga and start reading the sacred texts. she views herself as sacred to such an extent where the ego and the narcissism is so toxic that she'll never get out of her pattern. She will keep doing the same stupid dance forever. And there's a lot of people. I'm just pointing out one person, which is really just many people. I'm just trying to say, to say I've broken free from the matrix is ridiculous and stupid. I'm just claiming that books.
You are the matrix.
I'm just claiming that books are extremely valuable, and I encourage everyone to continue reading books. That's all I'm really saying.
But to that point, Scott was saying that there is no growth on here. I personally have grown on here. I mean, I've been on here a long time. I've been on here 4 years at least, but I have grown. My first year or two on here, I operated a lot like Jazzy does, under like ego and narcissism, and I sat on here and I pontificated, and maybe I had 5 people in the room, maybe I had 20 people in the room, but I was doing most of the talking. And then I kind of switched abruptly and did the opposite, and I started listening a lot, and I only come up when I'm invited, and then I only say something if I actually have something that I think is like valuable to say. I don't just talk just to talk. Jazzy is an example of somebody, she talks just to talk. She can't listen very long before she has to talk. And that, to me, on this app is an indicator that